So, you've decided it's time to pull the trigger on a Grand Seiko, but you can't decide which model you want to go with. Now, there's no shortage of contenders in the Grand Seiko lineup, and some, like the Snowflake, come with a spring drive movement, while others have automatic movements, including the excellent 36,000 vibrations per hour high beat automatic movement. Now, obviously, this choice is a big decision. Which one is best? Which one should you choose? And is either potentially a mistake? Well, today we're going to go into that. We're going to dive into that very topic, and hopefully, I will help you make your next watch purchase a little bit easier. Grand Seiko makes a bunch of great watch models, and many of them come in either a high beat automatic movement or with a spring drive hybrid. And watch collectors and Grand Seiko fans often have some very strong opinions on which of these that they prefer. On one hand, you have the more traditionalist watch guy who loves the art and the craftsmanship of a high-precision mechanical or self-winding automatic watch movement. Very often, they're going to say things like, a quartz-powered watch just has no soul, and to them, the beating clockwork of a watch being pushed by springs and gears is a little bit of the enjoyment, or part of the enjoyment, of owning and wearing a luxury timepiece. Then, on the other hand, you sometimes find what I would call a rarer breed of watch enthusiast. This is the type of guy, or I suppose gal, that likes more cutting-edge technology, but still respects the artistry of fine watchmaking. They're the type that wants a highly accurate and a reliable timekeeper, along with outstanding design and top-of-the-line fit and finishing. So, which is better, and why? Well, before we dive into that, let me first give a quick shout out and a thank you to my channel partner, Exquisite Timepieces, for loaning me the watches that we have here today for the video. If you're interested in Grand Seiko, give my buddy Joe McHale at Exquisite a shout. Let him know that Guy sent you so they keep supporting my channel.
This video is presented in partnership with Exquisite Timepieces, located in Naples, Florida. Exquisite is an authorized dealer of dozens of watch brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko, Omega, Oris, Blancpain, Breguet, and many more. Exquisite also has an amazing selection of pre-owned watches with new inventory coming in daily. So if you're looking for your next watch, check their website, exquisitetimepieces.com, or call their store at 239-227-2932, and let them know that you heard about them from Guy in the Just Bluefish channel. I can't recommend them enough.
Now, before we talk about which is better, first, what is the difference between an automatic high beat and a spring drive watch or movement? Well, I'm sure the majority of you guys already know this, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep this pretty basic and pretty brief. But in a nutshell, here we go. A watch movement is the internal mechanism that allows a watch to run and to keep time. It used to be that mechanical watches were powered by a spring, and you would wind that spring up by spinning the crown on the side of the case every morning to keep it running. Now, eventually, somebody came up with the idea of adding an oscillating weight inside the movement, and that weight would spin while the watch is on your wrist automatically. And as long as you were moving around a little throughout the day, the watch would keep its mainspring wound up automatically. Now, today, we are specifically talking about Grand Seiko high beat automatic movements like the 9S85 found in this Grand Seiko SBGH 341. And what makes that somewhat unique is that while all watches beat or they tick a certain number of times per second, a high beat movement tends to beat more frequently, which can lead both to better accuracy for one, but also a second hand that sweeps much more smoothly as the watch runs. Now, unlike your dad's old Timex, which generally ticks the seconds hand 1 time per second, a high beat movement like this 9S85 beats at 36,000 vibrations per hour, or 10 times per second. Now, on the other hand, we have the spring drive, which is the movement found in this SBGA 481 Grand Seiko. This movement, the caliber 9R65, is often referred to as a hybrid movement. It's not a battery-powered quartz-driven movement like your dad's old Timex, but it is similar to that movement in some ways, and in other ways, it's also similar to our automatic movement in the high beat watch. Now, like the automatic watch, a spring drive is powered by a spring system, and much like the previous automatic watch example, It winds when the watch is on the wrist, or it can be manually wound via the crown on the side of the watch case. And that is the sole power source for this watch. There is no battery for electrical power. What it does have is a mainspring that drives a series of gears and a rotor at the end of the gear chain that generates a small electrical charge. This charge activates an electronic circuit and a quartz oscillator. What that does is it delivers outstanding timekeeping accuracy when compared to the conventional mechanical movements that we see in other watches. Okay, so which is better? Well, in a lot of ways, the answer is pretty subjective. If you value extremely accurate timepieces, the Spring Drive is unequivocally better. Spring Drive is generally accurate to a rate of plus or minus 15 seconds per month. And a high beat automatic, while it is accurate, quote unquote, the accuracy is measured in seconds per day. And it could gain or lose more time in a day than the other watch, a Spring Drive powered watch, would in a month. But many people are honestly just fine with the accuracy afforded to them by a traditional mechanical watch. And for those people, they might find the old world watchmaking magic, or the engineering, if we want to split hairs, to just be better, if for no other reason than they just respect the anachronism that is the device. Now, in my opinion, if push comes to shove and I have to vote for one or the other, I personally would go with Spring Drive. I do love automatic and mechanical watches too, don't get me wrong, but I really do love and I really do respect the accuracy of a Spring Drive movement a little bit more. So why is that? Well, first, like we've already mentioned, the accuracy is outstanding. I love a watch that can keep nearly perfect time. But also, while the high beat watch does have a movement that has a very smooth sweeping seconds hand beating at 10 times per second, and yeah, you can just barely see it jitter as each individual beat fires, well, the Spring Drive seconds hand sweeps perfectly smoothly. It doesn't beat at all, it just glides, and in my opinion, that is just a little bit better. Also, while this might not always be true for every single automatic movement versus Spring Drive, often Spring Drive movements have a longer power reserve, so it will continue to run off the wrist without needing to be wound for a longer period of time. That's usually the case. Again, not always. But to be fair, we aren't talking about weeks or months longer off the wrist. A Spring Drive might have a longer power reserve measured in like the length of a day or two, but that is something to keep in mind. Now, there will be some naysayers out there, and most certainly in the comments of this video, and they will say things like a Spring Drive or any quartz-powered watch movement is just missing something. It has no soul. That's a common thing that you will hear people say. I've heard it over the years. And look, that's a fair argument. I do think that a fully mechanical movement running without any need for any electrical assistance is super freaking cool. It's kind of what got me into watches in the first place, at least in large part. And I have a ton of respect for the history of mechanical watchmaking. But given similar designs and styles and materials, qualities and features and specifications, with all things being equal, aside from the movement, if I was going to pick one over the other, I guess I'm just a little bit more of a fan of the accuracy and the reliability and longevity of the Spring Drive movement. So what should you do? Or what would I suggest to the person who can't decide between one of these watches or the other, a Spring Drive or a high beat automatic, or any mechanical movement for that matter? Well, I will say that you can't go wrong either way. And there are great reasons to love both of these types of watches and the movements that run them. But for my money, I'd say give me a Spring Drive. I think that overall, it's just a better method of timekeeping. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap this one up for today. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Now do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. An absurd majority of my viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. And it's the easiest and the cheapest thing that you can do to help me out, since it costs you nothing. So yeah, thanks for the help and for the support. I do greatly appreciate it. Now, until the next one, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna sign off, and I'll say bye now.